to the house, the one they talking about. Word of mouth, the boxing playhouse, without a doubt. All the latest and greatest boxing news, that's what it's all about.
What's up, guys? This is Sakura A, and I'm with Emelio Sanders. And this is After Dark series. And of course, tonight on our podcast, we have the living legend, trainer extraordinaire, Florida Boxing Hall of Fame inductee for 21, baby, Orlando Cuellar.
Commander.
The commander. So until he gets here, we're going to go through some topics with our fans, of course, because we love for you guys to, just chop it up with us about the latest events, what's going on in the news. First of all, we'll talk about the fight from this weekend, which is going to be, Jamal Herring versus Frampton. Any thoughts on that fight?
Man, you know what? Jamal Herring, when he came in the ring, he looked like he was 2 weight classes above Frampton. Frampton looked like he was fighting the middleweight that night.
Do you know, I heard some people actually was like, yeah, I was really impressed. Oh, Herring was really impressive. I'm like, really? I mean, I don't know. Like I told heavy bag people Tuesday night, I'm like, I don't know if it was because if Frampton was too small for the division, which really he is. And then Herring, he might be the night of the fight just a smidge bit out of his weight zone as well of super featherweight. Yet he maintained and retained his I think he has a WBO belt for super featherweight. So congratulations to him. And who do you see him fighting next?
Oh, man. I don't know. That weight class, got Shakur Stevenson down there.
Mm-hmm.
What's a boy that had the spectacular knockout that beat the show?
Valdez.
Got him down there. Those guys can't move up and call out Tank. They're all down in that weight area. So there's some good fights. You got Gary Russell down in that weight area too. So Joe Diaz, Tevin Farmer.
Tevin, yeah.
So there's some fights to be made if these guys want to fight. That's the thing. All this, social media wars and Twitter wars. I'm about tired of all that. I'm ready to see some action. So we can talk all day about matchups, man, but these guys got to want to fight each other.
You know it. And I don't know when we're going to actually see that. But until then, I really want to see Shakur in action again. I'm ready to see him back in the ring. So far, every test that they put in front of him, he's been able to handle very, very extremely dominantly. So it's like we need to go ahead and start matching him up with the best of that division, in my opinion, because he can't be at super featherweight much longer. He is growing still because he is still, a young guy. So if that's the case, we got to look forward to Shakur moving up to lightweight next, guys. And that's what I'm really excited about, because when he gets there, it's going to be really like a choice for some of these lightweights where do I really want to face him or do I want to move up or move down, because I don't want to be where Shakur is at. So, I mean, what do you think if he decides to move up shortly? I mean, if he just gets one title at super featherweight and then decides to move up to lightweight.
Hey, that's where all the young guns at in lightweight. If you can get them all to fight each other, you got Tio, the kingpin at the top. The main dude is Tio Fermo. You got Devin Haney. Ryan Garcia's there. Tank is there.
Yes.
I kind of wish we had a Super 6 in that weight class going on.
Oh, wouldn't that be great? Get
all these guys to fight each other and clear their air and see who the main dude is. But
it would be amazing.
Shakur Stevens is definitely going to be heading in that direction pretty soon, and I know he wants to make them kind of fights happen. So it's going to be some very interesting to see what happens. when he gets up there,
Absolutely. And the main thing that I want to talk about when it comes to those particular weight classes, like the super featherweight and lightweight category, I mean, these boxers are capable of doing some type of catch weights in there too. Like, it's not that much difference between a super featherweight and a middleweight. We're literally talking about 5 pounds. So, I mean, it's not like you got to lightweight. Yeah. I mean, it's 5 pounds between a super featherweight and a lightweight. So it's only like 5 pounds in between them. So why not mash them up all together in like a big bundle? Because you got Tank Davis that goes back and forth. Santa Cruz has proved he can do both with their matchup they had last year. So why not mix some of these other people up in that pot too? Lomachenko has discussed wanting to go back.
We got the kid from New York too. What's his name? Chris Colbert, I think.
Colbert, Stephen Colbert, he is there.
Another exciting dude, young kid out in New York.
Exactly. So there are lots of places to go. So let's see.
Lomachenko's still a threat too. That one little loss.
Lomachenko.
Some people look like they just forgot about Lomo with that one.
Oh, they wrote him off with that one loss. They wrote his ass off with one loss. Welcome to American boxing fans. Okay, that's what they do. Not just like Wilder. They one loss and they are just like he's done. You know what I'm saying? Like, so this is how American boxing fans get down. So let's go ahead and see. By the way, we want to thank Dahlia Duran, the beautiful one. We want to thank her for doing our translations tonight. She is our bilingual interpreter. So if you have any questions and want to understand what we're saying, just check out Dahlia Duran. You can inbox her as well as just respond here on our comments for the post on Facebook. As for YouTube, we'd like to thank you guys that tuning in from YouTube. We appreciate you as well. And please, everyone that's on Facebook, I need you to follow us on over to Boxing Playhouse's YouTube channel and subscribe today. Because we're going to start doing some really interesting and amazing things over on YouTube that are exclusive, baby. Meaning you got to be on that alert in order to get the notification that we would be live at a certain time with a specific guest. In the future, this is the plan. So I need you guys to definitely go over and make sure you subscribe to YouTube. Now, my next subject, this weekend, we got Joe Smith, baby. Joe Smith Jr. is going to be in action this weekend. I mean, does this guy that's fighting him have a chance? Maxim Vlasov. What do you think? Yeah, we're talking him now. We jumped from super featherweight. Now we're in super lightweight territory. Light heavyweight territory. That's what I mean. Sorry.
Yeah, that guy there. I'm not too familiar with this guy, Joe Smith fighting. Whatever he is, or whoever he is, he better bring it because Joe Smith is on a mission. He's finally getting that recognition that he deserved. He was a hard working class man. Yeah. Remember, he was working, still working 9 to 5 and still fighting these big fights, and then he jumped on the scene. He first and only man to stop Bernard Hopkins. So remember
absolutely. Yeah. I forgot that was his last fight.
He made Bernard. He made B-Hop eat his words. Remember, B-Hop said he would never lose to a white man. And
no, he didn't.
B-Hop had to eat them words. He put B-Hop out the ring. So
he must have been thinking about that.
Don't ever say who you might not lose to. That shit to come back and get you. And it bit B-Hop in the ass. But Joe Smith, I like Joe Smith. He hard hitting dude. Blue collar fighter. And that's going to be an exciting fight. I'm not too familiar with his opponent, but I know Joe Smith, he brings, it'll probably be a knockout. So I'm going to definitely tune in to see that.
Absolutely. And of course, we're saying that a deal was reached between Garcia and Fortuner. So we got Ryan Garcia stepping up to the plate to face the awkward and he's kind of excited for Tuna. Yeah. I mean, he gives you some action. Yeah, like he's not there just to play around now. He's going to try to bring it to Ryan Garcia.
I take my hats off to Ryan Garcia because that's a fight that, you know, it's a high risk, low reward type fight. You know, on any given night, Fortuna, you know, he could, you know, ask Robert Easter. Fortuna could easily, you know, take a victory. He's
I was thinking about Easter too, because I really thought that he won that fight with Easter.
Yeah, Fortuna's awkward. He got some punching power. You know, he's got the experience over Ryan Garcia.
Yeah.
You know, Ryan Garcia's head has been up here with the top guys. You know, sometimes you overlook these guys that's a little, you know, on the come up or a little lesser than the top five. And those guys are the ones that can pull an upset on you. So Ryan, you know, he's been thinking about the Pacquiaos and the tank fights, and a guy like Javier Fortuna can come out of nowhere and upset all his plans. So he better be truly focused on this guy here. You know, don't overlook him, and that could be a good test for Ryan Garcia. You know, if he looks good and come through that fight with Javier Fortuna. So,
well, at the same time, we got Devin Haney. He's having a fight with, oh my God, Linares. You know how I like Linares, yes. And Linares says he's stronger and readier than ever. So what do you think about that? Is that going to be something that Devin Haney can, you know, you think it's going to be like something that can be really competitive, or do you see this as a fight that Haney can probably win fairly easily?
I think Haney should win. Linares is kind of, you know, he's getting on the edge of, you know, at the end of his career. You know, he's been in some tough fights.
True.
You know, a few years ago, it would have really been a real good test. But I feel like Linares is kind of, you know, towards the end of, you know, his career, been in some tough fights. So I definitely give Devin Haney the edge. I ain't gonna say he's gonna blow him out. You know, people thought he was gonna blow out Gamboa, and that went to a kind of a lackluster decision. So this fight could go the same way. You know, I see Devin Haney winning. Could be another lackluster, one-sided decision. But Linares, you know, he's a tough veteran, so he'll make it an interesting test, but I don't see him winning that fight.
Well, before we get to the legends fighting in exhibitions, because I actually want to make sure that our guest is involved with that conversation. I want to see how he feels about Oscar and Cotto and Marquez and all these different exhibitions. We got to see how he feels about those things. So I'm going to quickly go over this one last topic about Crawford and Pacquiao. I mean, Crawford and Pacquiao, can you believe this? This is still apparently on the table, and it's supposedly a June fight. I mean, this is what's in discussions. I mean, do you think this could really happen?
I ain't gonna believe that until I see him get in the ring, man. It's just too much back and forth, and Pacquiao with this. I ain't hear about that. Who said that attitude? So, you know, Ryan Garcia thought he had the Pacquiao fight, and look what happened. So I don't know. I don't know what I hate to get it all excited about that fight until these guys actually sign the contract. So, or, you know, I see them in the ring. So it's a good fight, but you know, it's hard for me to get excited until I actually, you know, they really, really confirm this fight and sign the contract.
All right, but I mean, if there is a Bud and Terrence, if there's a Terrence Bud Crawford versus Pacquiao, the Pac-Man fight, the Filipino sensation, will Pacquiao be on your top 5 of pound for pound? Then?
You talking about right now?
Just for taking this fight, not even when he does the fight, but just for the fact that Pacquiao is now facing a second young welterweight.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely. Everybody
is young compared to him, but I mean, just the fact that he's taking this fight, does that not put him on your pound for pound top 5?
He's definitely in the top, you know, the pound for pound. You know, to beat a young champion like Keith Thurman, you know, it's going on 2 years since Pacquiao been in the ring, but his accomplishments, you know, he's still fighting at that elite level. He was the champion, but I think they stripped him of that super champion, you know, for the not defending it soon. But he's definitely still, you know, a pound for pound dude, man. Until he lose again, I still got him up there. I at least got him at 3 or 4, you know, behind Crawford and Canelo. You know, Pacquiao, he's still up there with me.
I know, and for me, Pacquiao, as long as he continues to face the type of competition and winning, these fights. He's not just facing him. I mean, he beat Keith Thurman.
And he whooped Broner a year before that.
Exactly. Like, as long as he's continuing to beat these young guys out here in another, I consider them to be in a different generation than Pacquiao, and he's winning. I don't see how anybody don't have him on the top 5 of the pound for pound list. I mean, it's kind of amazing to me that people don't have him on that top 5 list.
Yeah, this man came up with 8 different weight classes, and he's dominated every weight class he's been in. And he's like 40, 41, and he's still fighting at the top level. So my hats go off to the Pac, man. I definitely got him in my top 5.
Okay, so all right. So listen, the other thing about this fight is that if it isn't Pacquiao and this doesn't happen, what exactly are we going to have, an issue with? I mean, what exactly can Bud, who exactly can Bud get a fight with is the question. I guess I should be saying it that way.
Well, you know Sean Porter's standing in the back saying he's ready and available. So Sean Porter really wants that fight. Even Keith Thurman was calling out Bud. They couldn't quite make it. Him and Bob Arum had some disputes, but
everybody has disputes with him.
Yeah, but I believe if the Pacquiao fight don't happen, I believe the Sean Porter fight is right there for Bud. So I believe it's going to either be Pacquiao if they work that out, or it's going to be Sean Porter. Okay,
so if it's Sean Porter and that does happen, do you see this as a situation where Sean Porter could be just as big a draw for Bud as Pacquiao was? Is it still considered well, let's say is it considered a pay-per-view fight? I mean, is it, or in another terms, is it good enough to get big numbers that Bud needs under his record?
I think it's a good enough fight for a pay-per-view. Of course, it's not as big as him fighting Pacquiao, but still could do good, like how Porter and Earl Spence did. They did, I think, decent numbers. So I think, Porter and Crawford, I believe that's a pay-per-view fight. It's a good fight, too. It's a fight that's going to really, answer a lot of questions probably about Bud. Can he deal with a fighter like Sean Porter, somebody that's going to pressure you all night, throwing punches from all angles and wrestling with you and aggressive like that? We haven't seen Bud in a fight like that. So, and then people definitely want, he gave Earl Spence all he can handle, Sean Porter. So that's going to be kind of a measuring stick to see how he do with Bud compared to what he did with Earl Spence. So I think that's a good fight, man. And Sean, Sean could definitely win that fight too. I don't even count him out as not winning that fight. He could definitely, win that fight. So that's a good fight. I would want to see it. Definitely, I feel like it's a pay-per-view.
So I want to talk to you about a specific subject that was in an article that Dan Rayfield wrote recently. And, basically it's about this gap that's happening in which we're getting these exhibition fights.
Right.
But, what does that mean about the state of the real boxing players, the active boxing, as far as fans are concerned? Like, why is it that, the fans are like super hype about these exhibition fights with former champions and former retired boxers? When, what is that saying about the current active boxers? I mean, what do you think about it? And then we're going to get to our fans to see, just read a couple of comments from our fans too.
These guys are just bringing the memory back to when guys used to fight each other, back in the 70s, when Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, George Foreman, Ron Lyle, Ernie Shavers, all those guys fought. Muhammad fought everybody. It wasn't all this Twitter and social media back then. You just got in there and you fought the best. The 80s, you had the Leonard Hearns and Hagler, all those guys fought each other. The Four Kings, they all fought each other.
Right.
Hagler, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, man, the true middleweight his whole career, fought everybody, man. Every top contender, he didn't let no belt go. If he was a mandatory for the WBC, WBA, IBF, he fought all those guys. He never put his belt, relinquished the belt. So those were the days that, fans got to see, real fights. And so these guys coming back, the fans know we're going to see, see some legends fighting. These guys today, we got a lot of good young talent out there, but for some reason, man, they just, they do all this talking on social media and Twitter, and then there's no action, so the fans is getting kind of fed up, man. And then you got the older guys coming back and want to fight. So I think that's what brings the interest to these older guys. People want to see, hey, these young guys got to take note and look at the guys before them. These guys are fighting each other. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's the exact problem, is that we're not seeing the high level competition and the matchups that we as boxing fans really want to see. And this is why we're having an influx and a lane that's opened up for exhibition fights right now, because people are hungry to see that type of, or at least remember that type of energy you feel when you see a very competitive fight against, two champions. So I think, there's a lot of lessons to be learned, and I don't want to only put it on the boxers, because sometimes it's out of their hands. Sometimes you can have boxers that both are ready to fight, and other things get in the way, boxing politics, promoters, management. Now you got networks and platforms that can be, not on the same page. So it's a lot of things that's got to actually work together to make sure that the boxing industry is put on the showcase, that these exhibitions are going to help us be able to secure with boxing fans.
Even back in the day when you had Don King and Bob Arum, two guys that didn't really like each other, but they never let their personal beef or whatever get in the way from stopping big fights. They always came together when they knew it was money to be made. They made these fights happen. Nowadays everybody, you on the other side of the street. I'm the A side, you the B side. You
need a belt.
Yeah,
belt's gonna feed my family though.
Yeah, this and that, man. It's just.
I just want to see a good fight. I just want to see a damn good fight. That's what it's all about for fans.
Then these guys fight once or twice a year. Then you got to wait damn near another year to see a good fight. You done had a couple tune-ups. Now you got to wait a whole another year to see something. So.
Can you imagine boxers from back in the day being like, oh, well, I already fought 2 times this year, so we good. You'll see me next year. They wouldn't have made any money, because they weren't paying them like they pay these guys today, to box. Right. And also it's just the fact that the fans look forward to seeing them multiple times a day. And that's why we have living legends like Sugar Ray Leonard, and we got Duran and others that are in our minds as champions forever, because they did fight often, and they were in our houses, in our homes, and we could see them multiple times a year.
Right. You got to grow with the fighter back in the day. When you had free TV, you could turn on your TV every weekend. Wild Worlds of Sports Sunday. You kept up with these guys every weekend. Now it's a whole lot going on with different apps and different cable networks. It's kind of hard to really keep up with these fighters like back in the day. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's a lot of things that's kind of that's been hurting the sport of boxing. But I hope things get better, and I hope these fights get made. I'm tired of seeing fans making posts where guys 30 and 40 years from now they making fight posters. They finally getting ready to fight 30 and 40 years from now. So. That's a shame where, you're seeing so many people making these kind of jokes and memes. We got to make these fights happen.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. So now let's get into what our fans got to say. Rhonda says, hey, Playhouse, love y'all. All right, guys. Don't forget, we need you guys to do the hashtag BPH when you leave your comments now. And then we got Aaliyah. She says, hey, Sakura and Emelio. Hey, from Tonga.
Hey,
all right. Wow. Tonga, for real?
Wow.
Okay.
What over there?
Wow, she's up in the middle of the night for sure. We got Mark Anthony Reyes, and he's here with us tonight. Boxing Playhouse in the house. What's up? That's MRJ's daddy and the management team behind them. We appreciate you being around tonight, Mark. And then we got Carlos Morales.
What's up, Carlos?
Carlos, his son Elijah Maraja. Yes, he is going to be. He's the chemist.
The chemist.
The chemist. Yes, he is going to be on a show in New Jersey soon.
Wow.
So that is going to be great. And good luck to your son. That's amazing.
That's what I'm talking about. Guys that staying busy like that.
Yes.
Like Carlos, Elijah, staying busy, man. You know, that's what these young fighters got to do. They got to stay busy and, you know.
So that they're a different breed.
Yeah, do like Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson will fight once a month one time.
All right, so Carlos says it's a great test. I think he was talking about Ryan Garcia versus Ryan Garcia. Yeah, versus Fanchor.
Or was he talking about
not Fanchor.
Or was he talking about Crawford and Sean Porter though?
Either one. Carlos, let us know which fight you were talking about, man. We got lost there for a minute, and he's definitely down with Cotto
Marquez, huh?
Yes. I'm right with you on that one, Carlos.
Those are guys that want to fight. They fought each other, man. Miguel Cotto. Man.
We got
don't remember him backing down from nobody.
Well, of course not. He was there for it. And he actually strategized and try to fight your fight. Like he'll find a way to try to beat you. Not just be there because he's not gonna, not thinking that he's gonna win and he just want payday. No, when Cotto came to fight, he came to fight. He was gonna try to win.
Even though I was a little mad with Marquez for not giving Pacquiao that rematch after Pacquiao gave him about four chances to finally win that belt.
Right.
And Marquez won and said he wanted to keep that feeling and went on and never gave Pacquiao that rematch. So I was upset with Marquez about that.
Well, he did do him dirty on that one after he gave him like 3 chances to have a rematch. So he was just like, I want to see this, keep this feeling.
I'm going to keep that feeling.
All right. So we got Razel. He says, what's up? Hope y'all doing well. Absolutely, Razel. And we hope you are too. And we got Rodney all the way from Memphis. Rodney says, hey, Sakura. What's up, Rodney?
What's up, Rodney?
And then we got Brian Meadows. What's up? My man Brian says, well, they real warriors. That's why.
Yeah,
no one ducked no one.
That's right,
there
Brian.
You go. That's Brian.
Right.
And then we got Carlos saying he was talking about Haney versus Linares.
Yeah,
that is a great test. And then Carlos says Cotto adjusted. That's right. To anyone, he had balls.
He had big balls.
100%. Absolutely. Carlos, his boxing. Exactly. Puerto Rico. And then we got Mr. Rob all the way from the UK in the house, staying up late for Boxing Playhouse once again. I love him. And he says, hi, Sakura and Emelio. What's up? We appreciate you so much, Rob. Thank you so much for staying up late. He is so sweet. He's adorable. All the way from the UK. All right. So what do we get on? Okay, we still got Commando coming in soon. So tell me something that you always wanted to know about one of your boxing greats that you don't think that you've been able to get that information yet. I'm talking about somebody like Glenn Johnson. I'm talking about somebody like Tarver Sr. We're talking about, some of the greats from back in the day, because guess what? We're about to talk to someone that's had hands-on experience with some of these major players in boxing.
Even John Pascal.
That's right. That's one of the recent people we've seen him in the gym with. So let's go ahead and get him on here and introduce him. He is the 2021 Florida Boxing Hall of Fame inductee, Orlando Cuellar.
Orlando.
Hello, Sakura. Hello, Emelio.
Hey, what's up, Orlando?
That's Coach Commando. We love that name.
How you all doing? How's everything?
Man, we chilling, Orlando. How you feel, man?
I feel like I look, my brother, and I think I'm looking pretty good.
You are, man.
Yeah. We see you growing in this beard. I'm on the fence. I don't know how much. I don't know if I like it yet or I don't like it yet. But I definitely, I'm like, dang, I'm feeling a little Kodo action here and a little Canelo in that beard.
Yeah. Well, it is a little red, very similar to Canelo's, of course, facial hair. But it is what it is. I'm getting good compliments from it, and actually, the reason why I grew the beard is because, man, I just got tired of shaving so much, so often. I mean, I literally have to shave every day, and I can't miss every day, or else I look like I've been up for 3 days with the 5 o'clock shadow. So I'm like, you know what? My girl said to me, you know what? She said, you know what, Coach? Why don't you just let it grow? Let it grow and don't worry about it. She goes, let's see how it looks.
Oh, okay.
So here it is.
You know what? It's starting to grow on me now. I did like that kind of 5 o'clock shadow look, though. That 5 o'clock shadow was kind of, crisp. You still had that sharp look about you. So
Thank you.
Revisit that one too. Now you mentioned your partner in crime, Mrs. Merle.
She's right here.
Mrs. Commando. There she go. Look how pretty she is tonight. Nice. Oh my God, I'm so happy to see you, girl.
We're so happy to be here.
Aw, you guys are just the cutest couple. You remind me so much of Emelio and I when we out on the town and enjoying ourselves, especially with boxing. So,
Yes, ma'am.
of course, we have to do a double date sometime, okay?
Without a doubt. Looking forward to that. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can keep up with them though, baby. They real partiers.
Well, right. Listen, we love getting out and dancing and eating at restaurants and taking long trips and short trips. Depending on how the business allows. But right now, we're at the Hard Rock. We're over here at the Hard Rock, Seminole Hard Rock in Hollywood. So we're in between one thing and the other. But you know what? I appreciate you guys having me on. And everything stops when it comes to Boxing Playhouse, because I believe Boxing Playhouse is putting out the right word. I know you guys are new in this, but you definitely are tapping into the right resources, getting good information, and very entertaining. Because at the end of the day, it's about getting out there what's going on. Putting out the good information and entertainment. So it really is an honor and a pleasure for me to be on your show.
Wow. Thank you so much, because we find it so
that.
pleasurable that you would be able to come on our show, because I mean, you've been in the game a long time with boxing and been under the radar. Tell me, I mean, how did that happen? Because I'm just now learning, like a year ago, just how much you've done for the sport.
Right. Look, I don't have an explanation for how it happened or how it's been going on. I believe that I've been through the years. I've been a little shy, and I don't mind being behind the scenes. To me, a fighter's an extension of me, and if he looked great, then it is a job to me, because I train them as if I were the one fighting. So I never had a problem with being behind the scenes, or not being up front, because really it's all about the fighter. Sure, a trainer has to do a lot of things for the fighter, and they have to be one. So for me, I by me fulfilling my job to the degree that I did, which is winning fights where we're supposed to lose for many years. For me, that was enough. When I got my name, out there a little bit, somebody mentioned me or whatever, this and that. So, I never really pursued publicists, or, there was no social media, of course, and so I had no problem. I figured that as long as the team knew that I was doing my job and my fighter continued to win and we were making the money, have fun and having fun doing it, to me, that was enough. But I realize in today's world, if they don't know, it's growing fast and there's a lot of competition. So if they don't know who you are, no matter how good you are, you might not be able to get the next job if it comes up, unless they know about you. So here I am at Boxing Playhouse. I hope to be relevant. I hope the phone to be ringing off the hook once I get done with this interview.
Absolutely. I sure hope so. I mean, they know you a star anyway. I mean, you got Randall Bailey, Glenn Johnson. I mean, Antonio Tarver. I mean, name some more people that you've actually been in this ring with.
Yeah,
Training.
Solis, Adlanir Solis, that won his first title in Germany against Chauncey Welliver, debuting Arislandi Lara, Pedro Saiz
Oh,
from New York back in the 80s, Willie Wise, Iro Moselli Albert, the Nigerian, which was a three-time world champion,
mhm.
Aaron Superman Davis, Lou Honeyboy DeVal. I've trained.
Yeah,
I've had 26
Duval. I love
26 world
him.
champions. Yeah, 26 world champions altogether. I was
Whoa.
2004, a 2004 boxing scene trainer of the year. I was also three-time candidate or runner-up for Boxing Writers Association of America for trainer of the year. And I'm in the class of 2020 Florida Boxing Hall of Fame for the Special Achievement Award, and I'm getting inducted in June for the class of 2021 Hall of Fame.
No, that's right. You tell
We're gonna
him.
be there.
So
That's Mendo.
hey, you know what? I hung in there with both hands, and I believe my time is coming around now.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yes. And you also made a splash in the bare knuckle fighting champions
Oh
arena
yeah,
too with your fighter, the monster.
yes indeedy. In the bare knuckle arena, which is bare knuckle, of course, has been around for MMA and boxing has bare knuckle to thank, because bare knuckle was the original
Original.
the
Yeah.
original fighting competition where two gentlemen got together and they duked it out barefisted. So here we are, years later, and of course, like I said, boxing and MMA have bare knuckle fighting to thank. So
Mhm.
bare knuckle is actually, this BKFC is about a year old, so I've been with them pretty much from the beginning. And I trained Hector Lombard for two fights that he had, his first two fights. Um, Won both of them. I trained Yuli Diaz, the Monster Diaz, for
Uh-huh.
a couple of his fights in bare knuckle. And as a matter of fact, Yuli is the Guinness Book of World Records, record setter for the fastest knockout in all of combat sports, which is,
Wow.
Yeah,
I
that
believe
was
it's under
nice.
2 seconds. Under two
Oh
seconds.
yes, that was amazing. I mean, that was like super bad. I'm
Yeah,
telling you.
that was an incredible feat. It'll never be broken. Nobody can. He can't even tie that. It's impossible. And then I also have a heavyweight by the name of Dylan Kleckler, out of Pensacola, Florida. That is
Mhm.
1-0. He'll be fighting on the 30th of this month and winning his fight, which was it's an eliminator for the heavyweight championship. In his next fight, he could be fighting for the heavyweight championship of the world.
Wow.
Whoa, I didn't even see you slipped under the radar with that one. You see
Yeah,
how
I
you
I,
just
I, th-
say
I think
this.
this. I think the cat on this one. The cat's going to be out of the bag. And Yuli Diaz also is about to announce, and which is pretty much out there. It's just not officially announced. Yuli Diaz in his next fight, which could be May 21st, fighting for the 175 BKFC championship of the world. So
What?
I may have two more champions, especially
You're
in
gonna
this
have
case in
way
BKFC.
more than two more champions. I hear that you even have a prospect that's about to sign with a huge boxing promotional company. I mean, tell me a little bit about that prospect as well.
Which one now?
That's The Rock.
Oh, oh,
We were actually going to have him on tonight, but we didn't.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, that's. You mean Ryan Jones, King Boxing?
That's it, Ryan
Yeah,
Jones. Yes.
yeah. King
His
Boxing.
IG handle was Rock.
Yeah, Ryan is an amazing young man. I have him sparring with all weights, and he's amazing. I mean, usually I wouldn't do that, but when he spars with bigger men, I mean, Ryan could be 155 pounder, 150 pounder, but he can spar with light heavyweights. And if he spars with somebody bigger than him,
Oh.
and he knows they got power, what he does
Mhm.
is he's got an incredible radar of a defense. He's dressed down in defense. Everything comes out of his defense. So he's able to move and position himself where he doesn't get hit. He's got a great defense. He's very explosive. I mean, I'm very excited about him. And when I do put him with somebody his own weight, it's just like he's too much for them. And he's still to make his pro debut, which we're still shopping around for a fight and a good promoter, because in this business, you need a good promoter with the deep pockets and TV that's going to be able to move and
With the
groom
deep
these young
pockets.
prospects, because it's an expensive career. It really is. So you know what? I've been around the business for a long time, and I know that when you have something special, as I do with Ryan Jones King Bach, I know that patience is the key right here. I
Yeah.
could have signed him already 5 times with 5 different promoters, but what I may be doing is just shopping for some fights and putting them in a show, and then using those videos, and those fights, to maybe get a bigger talent agency to come on board and and ride with us, all the way to the top. So yeah, Ryan is a work in progress. He's still under construction, and he will be, because to me, all my fighters are under construction, because every
All
fight.
I know is he hit very, very hard, Coach Commando. He got some power. I heard it.
Yeah, every fight, Sakura, every fight is a test. And once you pass that test, then we go back to the lab and we construct the next level for the next test, because that's really what it's all about. That's how you groom a fighter. You don't take a fighter and you get them, guys that can't spell fighter, 2 left feet or stumble bums, and and just a false pretense, because what happens is they build a false sense of security or power, which they're not learning from. I believe in getting them right in the gym, and remember, what they don't do in the gym, they can't do in the fighting. What they do in the gym, you can expect them to fight. So get them right in the gym, and then we take a test. Once they pass that test, we grade them. How did they pass that test? Was it in flying colors? Was it, they missed this, they got that right, they were on and on with it? Was it a mental thing? Was it a confidence thing? Was it speed, power, touch, whatever? We look at that. Now, as we look at that, we go back to the lab and we correct what needs to be corrected, and then we may take a step forward or a step back. But
Right.
that's the way I groom these guys. And you know what? I don't baby them. I don't baby them because it's the hurt business, and they got to have a tough skin. They got to be a certain type of character in order to make it in this business, which there's a lot of suffering and a lot of sacrificing that goes with it. This is like nothing else. It's the hurt business.
Coach, I got a question for you. I want to know if you ever fought pro, and do you have any women fighters?
No, I never fought pro. I fought in the amateurs. I fought in the
Okay.
amateurs in Miami. And the reason why I never went pro was because since I was a little kid, I had a problem with chronic asthma and bronchitis. So
Okay.
I wasn't able. I was even any exercise I would do, and in that time they didn't have the breathalyzers that they do now. They give me a little sour pill. Used to have the humidifier. A big stomach. Myself. It was a problem. And finally, the most incredible thing is the day that I turned 30 on my 30th birthday, that's when it completely all went away. And thank God it's never come back. But it stopped at my
Wow,
30th birthday.
that's amazing.
Yeah, but
I
but
was
for
mine
me
for
to
that, but
for
it
me to
didn't.
do 3 rounds, for me to run as much as needed to be run was a struggle. For me to do 3 rounds was a little bit of a struggle, and even the emotion, just the excitement, the adrenaline that a young man gets before he's about to take the test, meet the challenge, and weather the storm. That for me was enough to get my breathing up, and have a problem with it. It'll restart the asthma and bronchitis. So for me, I had to talk to my family. At that time, I was 21 years old, and we all agreed that the next best thing for me was to train fighters. So at the age of 21, I started training fighters, and that could have been
Okay, that's how
19.
you
That could have
got
been
so many
19.
decades.
That could have been 1981 when I started.
Yeah. I figured that it had to be really young for you to start training because it's been like so many decades. I was wondering how you fit that into your busy schedule.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the funny thing how I started training fighters was, since I had to start from the bottom up, and I was like a young trainer that most trainers at that time were older gentlemen that smoked cigars, that would even sometimes even drink, while they were working, but they were very knowledgeable. They were very good. So what I had to do was I had to go to the gym and then pick the fighter that everybody turned their back on, and then train him and get him to look like something, in order to have some kind of success and then get another fighter's attention. For me, it was always like that. And then the sad part about it was then when I managed to get a fighter ready and he started looking good, guess what would happen? Another trainer of a name would come and snatch him from me.
Exactly. Yeah.
My heart must have been broken 1,000 times. But you know
Oh
what?
man.
I stayed the course. I was very strong,
Okay.
and I like fighter fights. I kept on going. So my time came where I was able to put it all together. I see myself in the fight with my fighter, and we won. And from there on, that fighter stayed with me for a couple of 3 years, and I was able to get another fighter. And then I realized, but then I saw myself in a situation where I had fighters on the B side. It wasn't the A side because I
Okay.
started too young. So what I had to do was I had to prove myself. So I had to out hustle the other side to a point where I even had my fighters going to the fight, and I would let the promoter, which was usually a local promoter, know that if my fighter was beating up on his fighter, not to ring the bell early because I had a timekeeper, in the crowd. And I told him, and if I told him I said, if your fighter is beating up my fighter, I said, don't make it a long round. I said, because I'll know. And you know what? And I had to be like that. I had to watch everything, even the food that we ate when we went out, to the
Yes.
restaurant or to the hotel. Oh
Uh-huh.
yeah, everything. I learned all the tricks. So
Yeah,
here I
that
am
B
today.
side is
Here I am
serious.
today.
They really try to put you at the most disadvantage with the B side. So
Uh,
you figured out a way to check some of that, so they could leave that at the door at the event, right, Commando?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Now I got a one question.
I forgot
Out of
to ask
all
the
these,
second part.
well, all these people that he's actually had fighters, I want to know who was the most hard headed. Who would not listen to you?
Oh my gosh, Sakura. You know what? It's been so many fighters that I really can't tell you which one was the hardest headed one. Um, I can tell you that reporters ask me often that what was it that I look for in a fighter, and I
Okay.
always came back and said a fighter with ears. And when I said a fighter with ears, they said, "What do you mean by that?" I said, "Well, a fighter that can listen, a fighter
Mhm.
that can understand what it is we're trying to do, and pay attention in the fight when we need to make the adjustments that we need to make." So basically, a fighter with ears. Everything else I can pretty much work with. But if they had no ears and they weren't paying attention, I couldn't. So,
There's a lot of fighters with no ears that you had to kind of like step away from.
oh yeah, well you know what? Usually the funniest thing about it is the fighters with no ears were the toughest ones because they did they were just hard headed.
Stubborn inside the ring too, I guess.
Yes,
so,
of course, of course, of course.
so, Coach, did
But
you
but
have
but
any
you know
women
what? There wasn't
fighters?
too many of those.
Coach, I was asking, did you have any women fighters through the years?
Women fighter, I kind of mm, um no, I had one that was 4-0, Laura Norton from
Mhm.
England, back maybe 8 or 9 years ago. I also trained. Let me see if I can remember her name. She was the first IBF featherweight women's champion. Riley, Stacy Real. Stacy Real. I
Huh.
trained her. I trained her for a championship fight. The weirdest thing about it, or the bad thing about it, was I trained her for this fight. It went beautifully. She was ready to win. And when we go to the airport, my passport had expired.
No.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Look,
man.
I felt so bad. I felt so
Damn.
bad that I wasn't able to get a passport fast enough. But the good the good thing about the story is that she went over there. She got somebody to work a corner, and she won the fight. So she became my first
Wow.
women's champion, Stacy Real.
Oh, wow. That's an amazing story. I don't know. Like, you were so worried and concerned and training her for that fight that you forgot to get your passport renewed.
And you know what? She came. It was at a time where I was training Glenn Johnson, Rances Barthelemy, Louis Franco, Ledouan Barthelemy, Jan Barthelemy, Iromacelli Albert, and Nicholas Walters,
So
and
you had a
probably
full
another
plate.
2 other individuals, and Stacy. I had so many fighters that I had no free time. I pretty much had to sleep in the gym.
Oh,
Wow.
my goodness. And you said Nicholas Walters.
The
Yeah,
X-Men.
I got Nicholas Walters.
That's
I
the
had no
X-Men.
idea you had the X-Man, too.
Where he
Yep.
at, Coach?
Well,
Where's Nicholas?
Nicholas Walters right now is in Jamaica. He's training with his dad and trying to get his weight down. As you know, Nicholas Walters was away from boxing for about a year, ever since the Lomachenko fight.
Right.
Yeah, so he had some kind of indifferences with his managers, and and when that happens, things come to a standstill. They don't go backwards, they don't go forward, so they just stay right
Okay.
there. So I
So
think
it
Nicholas,
wasn't the loss itself that had him stay out of
no,
the ring.
no, but sometimes a loss will create a situation where things like this happen, and there's misunderstandings. There might be blames or pointing of fingers. But
Okay, gotcha.
regardless, Nicholas Walters should be fighting within the next 6 months. I am in contact with him because before he was in Panama, and
Right.
that's
I
where he
remember him
basically
being in Panama training.
no, and he's fought in Panama a few times because I've been to Panama with him for those fights.
Mhm.
But he told me, he said, Coach, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna drop my weight. I'm gonna work with my dad in Jamaica, and when I'm ready, I'm gonna call you. So
All right. I want to see the X-Man again because he really, I mean, we all as fans was just thinking that it was something entirely different. Like maybe he couldn't take the loss or something. But now that you're saying that it's, other things that was involved, that makes a lot of sense.
no. I understand, but no, it wasn't the loss. It wasn't the
Yeah.
loss. He's ready to come back. Look, he lost to what I feel is one of the top 5 pound for pound best fighters in the world, if not
Absolutely.
the most balanced, well-rounded
Mhm.
of all.
Yes. Absolutely. I
Lomachenko,
agree.
Lomachenko fighting in his own weight class, he's unbeatable.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you.
So it's
And he
nothing to be
beat
ashamed
him
of.
at that weight class that he was really dominant at. So
Yeah,
he
the
has nothing to be ashamed of at all. I mean,
126 pounds, the killer.
right. And he beat everybody else in that division at that time, Walters did.
Yeah,
So,
he knocked out Darshinian,
yeah.
which was a champion. He also what's the name of the Filipino Flash?
Donaire.
Donaire.
Knocked out Nonito Donaire.
Yeah.
And a few others along the way. Very
Mm-hmm.
strong. You want to know something
Yeah,
about
for
him?
sure.
When I
Oh,
first got him in the gym, he was brought to me, and I was at the gym with all those fighters that I mentioned to you. I was training him, so they brought him to me in the gym, and I looked at Nicholas, and I asked him to shadow box, and he was kind of stiff, off rhythm, and he would not jab, and he would fall in with his right hand. And the other fighters came up to me, and they said to me on the DL, they said, Coach, if you can make him look like a fighter, you're the man.
oh, so they didn't even believe that he was at that good at that time, basically.
I took him. As a matter of fact, he lived with me. He was living with me for 2
Oh,
years
wow.
in my house. I took him in. That's how
Mm-hmm.
much work he needed. I took him into my house, and we would work. We do training in the morning with the regular fighters, and then I take him in the afternoon, do exercise with him, do the pad work, rhythm, balance, plyometrics, and everything. And then he started developing into what he was when he fought. Well,
We
right up,
saw
up until Lomachenko. Yeah,
on televised TV.
yeah.
So also I wanted to ask you about Pascal and your relationship with him because I've seen pictures on social media of you guys just having an awesome time in the gym as well as outside of the gym.
Well, Sakura, we're a couple of veterans. We know how to put in that good and smart work in the gym. And we also know that there's a release valve where you have to release pressure, you have to enjoy yourself. And we're grown men and we know our limits, and we keep our balance. So we know how to go out, eat, have a good time, but yet not have anything affect us or keep us from getting to the gym and putting
Mhm.
in on a daily basis that good and hard work.
Yes, I love that. I like that relationship that you guys have developed. And John Pascal, I've been asked many times in fights where John Pascal was on the card, and sometimes he was on the B side, and they would be like, Sakura, who do you got? And I'm like, don't bet against Pascal ever. Because I know
Yeah,
he has that right hook. I mean, that thing is a monster shot that he lands, and he knows how to set you up for it. So that's what
very
I do
intelligent,
like.
very intelligent fighter, always in shape, takes good care of himself. He's only getting better with age.
Will
Right
he fight?
now, Pascal is waiting to hear from the powers to be if he can go ahead and get a fight or a rematch with Badu Jet. So, the,
Yay!
yeah. So the last thing I heard from Pascal was, which was about 4 or 5 days ago, he goes, Coach, as soon as something's break, we're close. I'll let you know. But he's right now. He's not in Miami.
Now, before you go, we had to ask you a question about, and please let us know, first of all, when Pascal got a date or anything, so we can, get that on our website, boxingplayhouse.com.
Of course.
But before you go, we wanted to ask you about all the exhibition fights, including Cotto versus Marquez, and what do you think about Oscar returning? And
Tyson
then, of
fight.
course, you're actually training Antonio Tarver for his MMA opponent for
Frank
an
Mir.
exhibition.
Frank
So
Mir.
tell us all about this exhibition, fiesta that we're having right now.
Well, you know what? I think it's interesting. I'm for it. And
Okay.
the older fighters can make a few bucks, and people get to see if they didn't these legends, in competition, even though it's an exhibition and
Mhm.
it's less rounds, but you get to see these legends come back and get to see how they move and how they punch and how they function. So especially when you get a wrestler against a boxer and stuff I'd like to see that. That kind of reminds me. That kind of reminds me of when the first Ultimate Fighting first came out, or MMA fights came out. You remember it
Mhm.
was like all weight classes. You had kung
Yes.
fu against karate, against boxing, everybody.
Anything went,
Yeah,
yeah.
it made it so interesting. Look, we're not losing boxing by doing this. We're
Okay.
just adding something else besides boxing, and we're mixing it all in. So I'm all for it. I like these celebrity matches. These wrestlers and boxers doing it. So I'm all for it. I think it's fantastic, and nobody's getting hurt.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the main key is that no one's getting hurt. And I
Now,
think actually I'm hoping that it will bring some of those, boxing fans that have been inactive. I'm hoping that will trigger something when they watch the exhibitions to help them watch a Tiafimo or a Haney or anybody that's out there doing their thing now as an active boxer.
absolutely, absolutely. Now, to answer the question that you asked me, Antonio Tarver. Antonio Tarver was supposed to fight Frank Mir
Right.
on the 17th. The fight is off.
What?
What?
The fight is off, and no fault of Antonio's. Antonio's was in the gym, getting ready, putting in that good, hard, and smart work on a daily basis, working with
Absolutely.
with the number one conditioner I believe in the world, Dudley Pierce. So he had Dudley Pierce working his conditioning, and he had me working his boxing. And
That's
of course,
right. We saw that.
Antonio brings a world of experience and boxing IQ to the game. Now, what happened was Georgia said that since Antonio hadn't fought in 5 years, I believe they said you have to have a minimum fights in 5 years, and if you don't have any fights in 5 years, they can't license you. So they didn't authorize or they didn't allow that fight to happen. So Antonio is out.
Wow.
Oh, that sucks.
Shame.
You know what?
Shame. This. Let me tell you something. When Antonio trains with me, he comes down from Lakeland, Florida, to Miami. He's got to pay for his hotel. He's got to
Yep.
pay for his food and travel and everything. This man has to invest in his training camp in order to be able to get right for a fight. And mind you, Antonio's 52.
Yeah.
But he still got it.
He
Amazing.
still got it. He really
He
has
still
it,
got
and
it.
he really should have been allowed to fight.
He really should have.
While he was still professional, he was in excellent shape the entire time, and there was no reason why he should not have been able to fight. I am similarly just as passionate about Antonio Tarver Jr. too. I
Right,
want
that
to
broke
see
my
his
heart.
son.
But Antonio will be going. We're both going to the Triller event in
Okay.
Atlanta. This coming 17th to talk, because there's a big possibility that Antonio could be fighting in the very near future.
Yeah, because I mean, I heard that there are other exhibitions that might happen in like Texas with Oscar De La Hoya,
Yes.
and maybe like last time they were in California. But I mean, all else fails, you got Mississippi. They'll approve that license in a heartbeat, so we can get to Biloxi too, because that's a party town as well.
Right. But it is what it is. So hopefully we'll come back with some news from the Triller, because I know they showed interest in getting Antonio back on, and they feel for him. You know, they feel bad that he wasn't able to get on. You know, they know how hard he's been training. He accepted the fight with this, two-time heavyweight champion, younger Frank Mir. So Antonio at
Absolutely.
52, Antonio was giving away probably 45 pounds. He was also giving away probably a couple inches in height and 10 years younger. So,
And he was gonna win. He was still gonna win.
No, Antonio would have won. Antonio is the most defensive, high IQ fighter I have ever worked with.
Wow, now that's saying a lot, because I mean, we heard that list of names from you.
But you know what? You remember Antonio's a 5-time world champion. Antonio is 4-time light heavyweight champion and cruiserweight champion.
I mean, that's amazing.
You know what else, Coach? He's the last man to beat Rocky Balboa.
He sure did. He sure did.
Yeah. You gotta love that. That's like the main. That's the explanation for it.
That's Mason Dixon.
Commando, turn your camera the wide way.
The wide way?
The wide way. So we can get a bit. There you go.
Oh, okay.
We got some people that want to say hey to you real quick before you go. I know you have to go. So, I mean, the first thing we have is we got Hosea. He says, I had a chance to visit Miguel Cotto's home gym in Puerto Rico. It was super nice, and the people there were amazing. Now, who you got? Do you got Cotto or do you have Marquez?
I have to go with Cotto.
All right, yay! That's right. We're even in Florida.
Yes.
And then Carlos Morales, he said the beard game.
Beard game.
All right, he likes that beard.
Hold on a second, because I lost the sound. 1 second.
Okay.
1 second.
You can hear us now?
Okay, wait a second. It's coming up. Try me again. Hello?
Yes, you can hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, we got Carlos Morales. He says the beard game.
Beard game.
He likes that beard.
What did Morales say?
He said the beard gang.
He likes that beard.
He likes the beard.
The beard game.
Yes.
Thank you, Carlos, my brother.
And then we got Rob from the UK, and he says, hi, Orlando.
What's up, my brother? Hello.
And hey, Alana says, sexy beard. I love it.
Say it again, Sakura. I lost you.
Alana, she says sexy beard. I love it.
I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you like it.
Alana is also saying that she's from Milwaukee. Hashtag BPH. And then Carlos said that what you were saying was eloquently put, sir. And then
I'm
Amanda,
glad he agrees.
yes. And then Amanda says, I know he married to Cora, but the commando is very handsome, girl.
Uh-oh.
Thank you. No problem. I'm not in trouble yet. I'm not in trouble yet.
I know that's right. And then we got the beautiful Dahlia,
Duran.
your classmate. Well, she's 2020 classmate for Florida Hall of Fame. And she
Right.
says, congratulations once again, well deserved.
Dahlia, I love you so much. You're such a great person. You've done so much for boxing, and Dahlia has helped me through the years. She is my guardian angel. I love her.
Oh, I think she's our guardian angel too now, isn't she?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, she's
So we
amazing.
can agree.
She's amazing.
Okay, Rob from the UK says, my favorite bare knuckles boxer is Patty Monaghan. 116 fights, unbeaten world champion. God rest his soul.
God rest his soul.
Right.
All right.
That's some good knowledge right there.
Yeah.
Okay. So Rob says Orlando takes, well, I think he meant makes sense. Carlos Morales says Rocky 3, Hulk Hogan. Oh my God. All right, let's see who else we got here.
Amazing.
Oh, wow. Rob says, thanks for your time, Orlando. You are an amazing guy. Great interview.
Thank you. Thank you.
Orlando, who's your favorite fighter?
My favorite fighter?
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I have so many for so many different reasons. That's the toughest question to answer. I have fighters from different eras. I've been around for a long time, very long, even though I don't seem like it. Some people know my age, some don't, and we'll leave it like that. I'm hiding behind a beard. But anyway, look. From Cuba, Kid Gavilan, Kid Chocolate. Then from America,
Yeah.
Sugar Ray Robinson, Joe
Okay.
Louis. Then from the 70s, the list: Ali, George Foreman, Ron Lyle, Jimmy Young. It's just and then hold on a second. Wilfredo Benitez.
Benitez. He likes Benitez.
Manos de Piedra, Roberto Duran.
Absolutely. Hands of stone.
Hands of Stone, incredible, vicious fighter, aggressive, fear. It's just
Well-rounded. Very well-rounded.
To me, in the top 10. Now, from as of recently, I like Larry Holmes, of course. I left him out. Ernie Shavers, and as of recently, I like Tyson Fury.
Okay.
I like Tyson Fury. I like Teofimo Lopez. It's just so many, but to have here's what it is. Since I'm a trainer, I have a clinical eye. I can appreciate so many different styles and so many fighters that to me, it's like if you ask me, Orlando, what kind of cake? What's your favorite cake?
Yeah.
I love them all. I love all my cakes.
Orlando, I want to ask you, do you think Teofilo Stevenson would have made a good pro?
I'll tell you what it was. They were talking about back in the days about Teofilo Stevenson, which was an Olympic Cuban heavyweight multi-gold medalist. In comparison, they were thinking about him fighting, and it was even talked about fighting Cassius Clay at that time, which later on was Muhammad Ali. Now, here's my take on that. Ali had a very similar style to the Cubans, which was boxing and looking for points. Ali would never stand in front of you and trade with you unless he had you and you were on your way out. but Ali was very intelligent and he could box from the outside. So Ali was very similar to Teofilio Stevenson. Now here's the thing: in a three-round amateur fight, Teofilio Stevenson would beat Ali. But
Wow.
Wow.
if the fight goes 15 rounds, as a professional that Cassius Clay was, Muhammad Ali would take him and probably won't go the distance. So in an
Okay,
amateur
that makes
fight,
a lot of sense. Yep.
Teofilio Stevenson. In a pro fight, without a doubt, Muhammad Ali, without a doubt.
Okay. Yeah,
So-
that professional experience he had was great, way greater than Stevens with the amateur.
And here's the thing, and this is coming from the clinical eye. Now, when you're an amateur fighter, you fight everybody that has the same style that the AIBA insists. The AIBA is the amateur, program that insists that everybody fight with the same style. With the white of the gloves. Mostly boxing. It's about points, so it's a different style of fighting. Now, when you fight in the pros, everybody's fighting a different style, so it's very difficult. So when you're in the AIBA, and you come from a communist country, which there's a few, and there's maybe there's less now than there was before, but they're still around. So what happens is there's no professionalism in communism. So you got these men that you're sending them to the Pan Am Games, all these tournaments, and the Olympics. At the age of 18, then 25, then 30, then even 34. Now the other countries from the free world are sending fighters that go one time to one of these tournaments and then they turn them pro. And then they're 17 years old. So what you really have is grown men, 30, 20-something, and 30 years of age with manpower beating up on boys.
Okay, so that's why they rack up all of the awards.
Look, they have a good training system, and they got great rhythm. But remember, most countries are sending young men, and then they take them out of the games and then turn them pro. But the communist countries, you keep going and going. So then you have 300 and something amateur fights, and you have all this experience. Okay, but now here's the change. Here's the flip side. Now, if you happen to leave that communist country and you come to America or the free world, and you go to Europe, now you're not fighting against boys, you're fighting against men. Yeah. It's not for medals or trophies, it's for meat and potatoes. It's not 3 rounds, but it's 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12 for a championship fight. It's not big gloves, it's small gloves.
Small gloves.
And big, it's not the AIBA style that everybody fights the same, and the older you get, the better you are at figuring it out. Now you're fighting a guy that's going to come in with his head, a dirty fighter. You got to come in with a guy that knows, that starts on the outside and finishes on the inside. You got to come in with these guys. You're going to fight these guys. You're going to throw bolo punches, looping punches, sky hooks. It's a different ballgame. So that is what would have made Ali
You're fighting Orlando Salido. That's what you just described. You're fighting Orlando Salido.
Yeah, that's Orlando Salido. Look, pros have a lot of tricks. And not only that, but the fight is so long that throughout the fight, you can make so many different adjustments that in the amateurs you can't, because the amateurs is playing touch. Really, yeah, you can apply power. Yeah, you can knock somebody out. But the main philosophy behind the amateurs is to score with the white of the gloves, and they're counting the points. So if you can touch somebody, get out of the way, and they don't touch you. If you touch them 3 times and they only touch you once, guess what? You win. But in the pros, you could be behind, and all of a sudden, the guy that was kicking your butt just ran out of gas. You're all busted up, and you happen to land the Hail Mary or a good punch that takes him out. It's just, it's 2 different worlds.
2 different worlds, exactly.
That's
now we know you got to go for your dinner.
That's why I say that Cassius Clay in a 15-round fight would have beat Teofilio, but Teofilio would have beat Cassius Clay or Muhammad Ali in a 3-round fight.
Okay. Go ahead. Emilio has one last question.
We know because of history they never were able to come to an agreement and make that fight, because Teofilio Stevenson said that he was fighting for the honor of Cuba, not for money. That you can't buy him.
Coach, I just got one last question. When I knew you was coming on the show, I had to pull out the Cuban hat, man, and represent. You know, my dad is Cuban, Orlando.
My man, hey, you look good, my brother. I love it. I love it.
But
Talking
one
like
last
nobody else.
question, Coach. I want to know, have you ever tasted Daniel Duran's Palomino steak?
Say it again. Say it again.
Have you ever tasted Daniel Duran's Palomino steak?
No, I haven't.
Oh, we hear it's
heard
really
it's good.
good, man.
Well, you know what?
Gotta get that invite.
Yeah, you know what? She needs to try. She needs to try my ribs. Let me tell you something. When I trained Glenn to fight, Glenn Johnson to fight Roy Jones at the FedEx Forum in Memphis, where we knocked out. Well, Glenn knocked out Roy under my instructions. I really did that. I'm the one that did that to Roy. But anyways, I ordered the hit. And Glenn was the hit.
Oh, no.
But anyways, I love. Listen, don't get me wrong. I love Roy Jones. He was my legend. He still is my legend. You know. But besides that, I went to Memphis after the fight to eat ribs.
You sound like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Memphis
We went to
has
Memphis and we
the
had
best
the
ribs in the world. They were falling off the bone, and people were in line. I came back home, and for years I worked on preparing my ribs so that it would fall off the bone. Hey, I finally got it. My ribs give the Memphis ribs a run for the money. I believe they're better.
This is the rib guy right here, so we got to get us an invite because he's all about the ribs.
Man, I love some barbecue ribs.
Hey, I am the king of ribs.
Wow.
And I'm even thinking about opening up my own business of ribs.
Man.
You know what? I'm telling you, I can't make enough of them.
Oh, I know that's going to be a nice restaurant because it's hard to find like the perfect ribs down here.
I would put Shorty's out of business. I would put Porky's out of business. All these rib places around here because nobody makes it like I do. I pick literally. You pick up the bone and it comes off the bone. It's almost like the meat is like eating Jello.
Dang.
But, and then I have a secret barbecue sauce that really takes it over the top.
Damn, Orlando, we did the same thing after a fight. After a fight in Memphis, we did the same thing.
Come to Miami anytime, I got you.
He said he got you. He got you. When we went to Memphis to a link boxing match, we had to have some ribs too. We was there Memphis in May. So they had a big festival of barbecue.
Yeah.
And how were they? They were great, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah. Okay. Now you know what. Now you know when you come to Miami, I can meet that challenge and beat it. You gotta try it. And you know what? I'll let you try it. Once you try it, you let me know. But everybody that I tell that these ribs are the best in the world, they say, okay, let's see. And when they try, they're like, you're right. Best I ever tasted.
We got to try that, Coach.
We got to hook up soon.
We got to try that.
Yeah. Dahlia says Palomino steak, Coach.
Say it again, Sakura.
Dahlia says Palomino steak, Coach.
Okay. Tell them when I hold her up to it. Absolutely.
And we got one last question from Rob. He's all the way in the UK, so we got to thank him for being up at like 2 a.m. in the morning.
Okay.
So he says, what's your top 3 fights ever? The fights themselves. Top 3.
My top 3?
Yes.
Oh, wow. It would have to be Glenn Johnson. It's Glenn Johnson against Roy Jones.
Okay.
My top 3, my personal top 3, Glenn Johnson against Roy, Glenn Johnson against Tarver.
Yeah.
And then, Jesus, then I don't, let me
What's
think for
the
a second.
third fight you enjoyed watching, maybe? Maybe a third fight that you just enjoyed watching.
Yeah. I don't have a. To me, there's 2 fights that are dear to my heart, and that was Glenn against Roy and Glenn against Tarver. And then, of course, Tarver. I would have to say Tarver when he fought Steve Cunningham, which we won that fight, and it was taken from Tarver. But that was another one of my favorite, where I got Antonio to do what he does best, because he was fighting a younger, faster, in his backyard Steve Cunningham. But Antonio was able to make the adjustments he needed to make. And the funny thing about it is Antonio says to me, in the locker room. He says, "Coach, don't send me at him too early. Let me feel him out." I said, "Okay, Antonio." After 5 rounds, I'm like, Antonio, you're bigger than he is. You're stronger than he is. You're slicker than he is. I said, and you got the signature punch. I said, Antonio, step up to the plate, put it on him, and be the champion that you are. Antonio went to work, and after that, it was Cunningham backpedaling the rest of the fight.
Wow. Oh, I gotta go back and look at that fight because I don't remember Steve Cunningham and Tarver.
What's that?
I don't remember that fight.
You don't remember?
I have to go back and see that.
Gotta be on YouTube.
Well, we're gonna let you guys go, but you know what? I got two things for you. The first one, Merle and Orlando. Do you love Boxing Playhouse?
Say it again.
Merle and Orlando. Do you love Boxing Playhouse?
Do we love Boxing Playhouse?
Of course.
Of course we do.
We love
Yeah. No, for
and
real,
then the
for
second
real.
thing is we would love to have you guys back. Hopefully you guys can come back again very soon.
Look, Sakura, I love to come back, and maybe after Yuli Diaz wins his BKFC championship fight at 175 pounds, we'll come back, and then after him, it's going to be Dylan Kleckler, probably a couple of 3 months later, winning the heavyweight championship fight in bare knuckle, and maybe in between, we'll have Jean Pascal and even Antonio Tarver.
Yay! We love all of those names, and I would love to have you champ from bare knuckle fighting champs too before his fight.
We'll see you in the Hall of Fame somewhere in between. June.
I would love to have them real.
Absolutely.
I would love to have them real, Orlando.
I'm telling you, hey, listen. I'm not gonna make any promises.
No, don't do us like that, Coach.
I might bring you the ribs, but it's got to be on the DL. You can't tell anybody I'm bringing you ribs, because if not, you're gonna have to share with everybody that finds out. So I'm gonna bring you a nice slab of ribs so you guys can try it for yourselves.
Okay. Yeah, we got to sneak it in. I see what you're saying. Sneak it into the Hall of Fame for us. So you guys can see the Hall of Famer Orlando Cuellar, Mr. Coach Commando himself, in June at the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame event, and that's going to be June 18th to the 20th. Congratulations. We love you so much, and we can't wait to see you soon.
Love you, Sakura.
Thanks so much, Orlando.
My man. Bye, Sakura. Love you.
Bye, Merle. All right. Those guys, they are just amazing. I love them as a couple. Their energy is always great. And on top of that, I mean, he's been hiding such an illustrious career with these different boxers and stuff. And we had no idea that he had that many fighters that he's worked with over the years.
Yeah, I'm shocked myself that Orlando went under my radar, because I haven't seen so many fights, and then he was in the corner with Glenn Johnson when he knocked out Roy Jones. I might have to pull that fight up and look just to see what Orlando in the corner.
I know.
But
he
I'm
said
like,
Antonio Tarver with Glenn and with Steve Cunningham.
I meant to ask him who corner he was in when Tarver and Glenn fought.
I know, right? That's the point, because they both, he
corner was
training both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the X-Man. He said the X-Man. Laura. He said Laura. I mean, he said a lot of great names. I mean, that's just amazing. And his career started in 1981.
Wow.
So he has just, actually, he had the amateurs too. But we look forward to seeing him again with some of his champs. Hopefully we can get them booked soon, so we can see some of the work and some of the accomplishments that he's done firsthand by seeing the boxers with him. Wow. And we want you guys to make sure you follow us on boxingplayhouse.com, Boxing Playhouse YouTube, Twitter, IG, Facebook, and Periscope, and Twitch. Can you believe it? All those different ones. And then you can catch up with Orlando Cuellar and his beautiful wife on IG. You can just search Mrs. Commando Zero and Mr. Commando Zero to keep up with all their activities. And I mean, that's a lot. Those two are really energetic, and you can find them probably out of the town whenever you go down to South Florida somewhere.
Wow, said Orlando had 40 years in business. Wow.
I mean, That's amazing.
Cool dude too, Rob. Orlando, very cool guy in person.
So we want to thank all of you guys for tuning in tonight. And please make sure you support Coach Commando, and all of his fighters
Cuba.
that he still have right now. And then also support us as well. So just go over to boxingplayhouse.com and make sure you subscribe so you can get notification when I come out with my latest and greatest boxing news in articles. You like that? You want me to keep the secret? Oh, okay, I'll tell you. Yes. It'll send you a notification to your email and let you know when the article is ready. And I'm always trying to break a news story. We also want to make sure that we mention some fights that's coming up soon. Of course, it was that June 18th boxing card that's alongside the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame weekend at St. Pete's Marriott. So it's going to be right here in the Florida area of Tampa Bay with the beaches nearby, great food as well as boxing. You don't want to miss that. And they have a special offer for the rooms that you can book on their website, which is Florida Boxing Hall of Fame. And until next time.
Did we say anything about lipinettes and boots?
No, we did not. I mean, I guess we also want to make sure that you check out the boxing this weekend, which was Joe Smith Jr. And then it's also Boots versus Lipinette. So that's Ennis. Yes, that's Jerron Ennis, Boots versus Sergey Lipinette. You can find them on Showtime. And that's going to be a hell of a fight because Sergey is going to be right there. He's going to be applying what type of pressure he can to the very athletic and talented Ennis Boots. And I dare anybody to say that competition isn't good enough.
Boots is the dude, man. If y'all don't know Boots, he's one of the top rising prospects in the welterweight division. Some people say he's the hottest prospect coming up. You know, you got him and Virgil Ortiz. They could be in the collision course down the line. But Ennis Boots, man, I'm very impressed with this young man right here. He's out of Philadelphia, old school trainer. You know, he's tough, man. Tune in. This is going to be a good fight. Him and Lipinette. You know, we could see how good Ennis Boots is. You know, I think he has the goods. So y'all tune in Saturday. And Joe Smith also. He's going to be on top ranked card, ESPN Plus. So y'all tune in. A lot of fights this weekend.
All right. So thank you guys so much. And we'll see you back here tomorrow, actually, at 11 a.m. when I actually interview Alicia Baumgarter. She is a great, phenomenal, beautiful prospect, female on the scene. And she's going to talk to us about how she said yes to a fight against Savannah Marshall and never heard back from that camp. So we got to find out what's going on with that. And then Saturday, we've got an exclusive podcast with the amazing Lisa McClellan, and she's going to talk to us about what she thinks is the biggest con in boxing. I can't wait for that, bombshell. You know I'm going to be all there for that. All the tea.
Hey, I see that. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it.
And we got David Bowser in the house. He's like, it's definitely going to be the biggest fight. His biggest fight. Jaron. He's talking about Ennis Boots. So you're absolutely right, Bowser. But who do you got? Do you have Boots or do you have Sergey with his power making we're gonna test Boots' chin. That's what we think is gonna happen. And I'm just looking for him to be able to take whatever punishment that Sergey has if he's able to catch him. Because he's very defensive, as well as, very offensive as well. So he's an all-around boxer. But that fight you mentioned with Virgil Ortiz colliding with a Ennis Boots, that would be like the mega fight like we're not getting with Bud versus Spence. But that's a couple of years down the line, obviously.
That's a fight that's growing that could, be a big fight down the line. Virgil Ortiz and his Boots,
What David says is an even money fight. That's what makes it to be a great fight. Okay.
Yeah.
So he said it's a 50-50 type fight. So Sergey Lipinette and Boots.
Wow.
So we're gonna see on Saturday night, and don't forget Joe Smith as well. He's gonna be on ESPN free TV.
The app?
No, it's on the actual channel, ESPN the channel, and you can catch that Saturday. And then if you have Showtime, you can also make sure you see Ennis Boots versus Sergey Lipinette.
Also on the Zone, I seen Conor Ben is scheduled to fight.
Okay, so Conor Ben is scheduled.
You gotta catch that fight early. They're in the UK, so
yeah, that'll be afternoon.
You got the Zone, tune in early Saturday, and you catch Conor Ben's fight.
Well, who is the main event on that card then?
It might be Conor Ben. That's the only name I saw.
Well, definitely check that out as well. We love Conor Ben, and he's improved so much over the last maybe the last year even. I've seen an improvement with him. So we look forward to seeing what he has in his tank for the next challenge that they put in front of him. All right, so it's gonna be. Oh yeah, he said it's on Saturday. That's right. Is that Roll?
Roll on Saturday.
Roll on Saturday. You right. Okay, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in with us tonight. We appreciate you so much, and we're gonna do a toast to our Florida Boxing Hall of Famer, Orlando Cuellar, Mr. Commando. Until next time, see you soon.